So here with Alvernia men's soccer coach Casey Moore and women's hockey coach Josh Brandwene to discuss the teams coming together around the fundraiser for the Color of Change. So if you guys could give me a little background on what exactly is Color of Change.
Yeah, so I'll start here. Thanks for having us. So we wanted to join with this. Basically, it's a progressive civil rights advocacy group. And the big reason why we wanted to join with them is, well, first, they're progressive. So they have a new way of thinking, new ideas, and they really kind of embrace that it's a step-by-step process to kind of evoke change. And the other big reason was when you look at their website, so obviously we tried to do some research, and on the front page of their site, they have, I think, what they called recent victories. And it's just kind of like success stories that they've been having with past campaigns and things like that. And there's pages and pages worth of victories that they've had through their campaign. So that's what really kind of struck a chord with us.
And what made you decide to run the fundraiser?
Well, I mean, I had seen the George Floyd video, and I mean, there's all kinds of crazy emotions that went on within me. And then, the biggest thing was I was thinking, like, why is this happening? Why is this continuing to happen? And then just thought of a more broad picture of, is there anything we can do to maybe stop this? And then you go a lot further, and I just started researching, started reading, started checking out videos to educate myself better on matters surrounding all of this. And there's been 400 years of systemic racism, and you can go back and trace back where this stuff has been going on forever. And while progress has been made, it still kind of feels like obviously not enough progress has been made. And maybe my generation and Josh's generation, we might be in the same generation, but we probably didn't do enough action to have change actually happen. So now we're trying to make amends and get our student athletes involved to help as well.
I know for me, I was very fortunate a number of years ago to be a part of a white privilege workshop, and that was presented by Tim Wise. And I feel really good that I understood the concept and understood my own privilege and how I was raised and how I've been able to go about my life. But much like Casey, what happened to George Floyd really struck a chord with me. And I realized in looking back, while that was great that I understood it, I too had not done enough. And this tragedy and the emotions that came along with it really struck a chord. And when Casey reached out and had, kind of shared his thoughts and done this research, I thought, wow, this is a real opportunity for myself and my student athletes, who, much like Casey's student athletes, are very passionate about this cause, as we are both as well. And just to get behind something that is really truly a match for Alvernia University and its core values. I mean, service to others is what we're all about. And there's no more important cause right now than the Black Lives Matter movement.
Leads me to my next question was, how did your teams, how did men's soccer and women's ice hockey end up coming together to work on this?
Yeah, I mean, basically I reached out and Josh was on board and his team was on board. And, really, at least from my team, we took a big stance to have kind of like an open discussion within the team to, listen, educate ourselves, and learn about everything. Because I think a lot of our teammates did not know a lot about any of this. So some of our team spoke up and shared some of their stories and experiences, and then voiced, how we could be better, how we could be more supportive as a group. And even before that call, we really wanted to do something, but then after that call, it was like we needed to take this a step further.
And I know for the young women on our team in the women's hockey program, and in my own reach out to them after the murder of George Floyd, it was so evident in my communication with them, just how emotional it was for them. And you could really sense just not only the important first couple steps of the education and the contemplation, but then the really want to do something. And over and over again, not only in phone conversations, but in text, just their appreciation and using of the word movement and how important this movement is right now to our society. Kudos to Casey and his team for initiating this and launching this. I felt very strongly that I wanted our group to be a part of it, and the girls in the team have been so excited and grateful to partner up and be a part of it as well.
We left campus mid-March. Were you guys having regular communication, probably via Zoom, with your teams when we left in mid-March or even starting in early April? And then, you both referenced the murder of George Floyd, which I think is certainly a marker in the progression of this conversation. If you were having those calls to that date with your teams, how did the tone and topic change following the murder of George Floyd?
Yeah, so we were doing Zoom calls for like trivia nights and just more fun conversations to just catch up and see how guys were doing, how they were holding up. Have they driven their parents crazy enough yet? And obviously, once this came about, we just felt it needed to be addressed. So, the tone was obviously more serious because it's obviously a serious topic. And, I think a lot of our players had the courage to stand up and speak about their experiences and, share some of the stories. And it was probably, I would say, pretty eye-opening for some of our guys because they've, probably never truly thought deeply about those situations because majority of our team is white males, and they can kind of live safely and comfortably and conveniently where, some of our players that are Black have much different experiences, and they shared those. And it was really helpful for our team to recognize that. And then we wanted, again, to take it a step further and do something to make the situation better, or hope to make the situation better.
Yeah, I know for us, we used initially back in March, once campuses closed and everybody went home, sort of a mix of communication, excuse me. And, we started with some individual reach out and did some FaceTime calls on an individual level with myself and Ashley McGill, our assistant coach, and individual players, just to first and foremost check in and see how they were doing with the pandemic and the lockdown and the abrupt closure of school and moving to online learning. Like Casey, we've also done some Zooms, and the initial tone was more about kind of updating and catching up with each other and that sort of thing. And, with the murder of George Floyd, we had come off a number of Zooms. We didn't do a group Zoom right after that. I felt just kind of, much like Casey knows his guys best, I felt like with our girls on the team as the semester was winding down, the reach out for them with a small roster, because we're still building a program, was best done on an individual level. And I was really able to tune into kind of some of the emotion on an individual level, because everybody's concerned, everybody cares, but everybody responds a little bit differently. And it was really clear that, obviously, much like Casey's team, everybody's learning, everybody's growing, everybody has a passion for this movement. And, to really hear the depth of a few of our players in particular, it really was a call to action for us. So, different pathways, and that's kind of the art of coaching and knowing what's best for your individual group. But we've both kind of come to the same place as a result of how we've gone about communicating with our teams.
Have you guys had a chance to bring both teams together on the same call?
No, we haven't yet.
Okay.
And we actually just kind of formed a subcommittee within our teams of about three men's players and 3 women's players, that they are gonna, put their heads together and have a couple conversations to promote the campaign a little differently, kind of take the lead on this to get more outreach and more support as well. So that's maybe the first step of that, and then we kind of bring the groups together.
Yeah, both Casey and I felt that was a great entry point, was to get a small group together, get them communicating really well with each other. And that really fits in with the culture of the whole Alvernia community, of kind of the notion of one Alvernia, where we want to, again, another one of our core values is collegiality, and having them work together. It's a real opportunity for them. I've already heard just individually in kind of a brainstorming text stream from a couple of the girls that are going to be on our committee. They've got great ideas already. And this is what their passion is about, and them having an opportunity to really have their voices and their ideas come together. And then they can bring them to their individual teams and then get both teams together in a very one Alvernia kind of way to push this forward.
Who are the representatives from the teams that will be on this subcommittee?
Sure. Yeah. So men's soccer is Ryan Custer, Damian Jennings, and Nate Nemo.
And on the women's side, we have Abby Riesinger, Logan Arend, and Lauren Chimick representing the women.
That I've respected and appreciated about both your programs is the way that you rally around, not necessarily a cause, although that's what you're doing here. Both of these teams rally around a word or a term or, a way to do team better. Men's soccer's rallied around brotherhood for as long as I can remember, and women's hockey around Ohana, which is the Hawaiian term for family. Do you see those 2 team mottos coming through in this effort to work together?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, with brotherhood, we wanted our players that are Black to know that, we hear them, we support them, we love them, and we want to do literally everything we can to make the world better for them. And one of the questions that was posed in our team discussion was, what would you do if it was somebody in your family that went through this same exact thing? And that's kind of the way we preface things. And I think that hit home for people, and just the stories that were being shared, it really pointed out that things are not kind of on an even playing field in terms of equality and justice. And, we want to have an inclusive group that's unified and all about the same thing. And we want everyone to be treated fairly and justly. And that's a big reason why we started this campaign.
Yeah, and for us, the theme of Ohana, for us as a new program was really important to the development of our culture. And it's, Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind. And it is so vitally important that we make sure that Black lives do not get left behind. Black lives matter. This movement matters. And so it's very uniquely struck a chord, really for both our programs and both of our kind of one-word mottos. And I think that's kind of a shared thing that both of our programs have.
Have you been able to include any of your incoming freshmen or transfers in the conversation?
Ours were on the Zoom call, and a few of them spoke up during our discussions. And I mean, a big thing is during our call, some of the guys didn't understand. Some of the guys were of the understanding of all lives matter, and our team explained why that was offensive to Black people, and because they're being oppressed at the moment, or not at the moment, but they're being oppressed, and really they need our help. And when you say all lives matter, it kind of takes away from the help that they need at the moment and the oppression that they're suffering. So when we explain that to the group, again, it was eye-opening to understand that. And once they got that perspective, they understood. And I think that's probably the biggest part, is the education of all this. A lot of people, at least within our group, don't know about that. So I think that's really important, is that first step is learning and listening and letting people share stories, and just being open-minded to listen and take in that information. And then if it makes you want to take action, that's awesome.
Yeah, for us, again, it goes back to kind of the culture both programs have created. So I'm not the least bit surprised that Casey has included all of his new players in this process in terms of them being a part of the group. We have done likewise, and that goes all the way back to girls committing to the program and being welcomed by the veterans and the returning players, because that fits into our culture of Ohana. And they're a good fit for the culture at Alvernia. The institution really does do a great job of identifying who's a great fit for Alvernia. You've got to want to be a part of something bigger than yourself and really have that resonate to be a part of the community. And our incoming class, much like Casey's does, really fits the culture. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They've really aligned themselves with this movement. They feel very comfortable with the group. One of our incoming players, Jasmine Hughes, was a interviewee on a podcast, related to the topic of the sport of ice hockey, and acknowledging the privilege and really, the socioeconomic status that limits who has availability to play and progress at the higher level of hockey. And she did such a great job of representing herself and representing our team, and understanding and acknowledging that privilege to play a sport that really has to extend itself and create opportunities for all people. So, that's the culture of Alvernia. And so that's why you see even our new players feeling so comfortable being involved, like Casey's new guys speaking up and talking on their call.
When we return to being in person, what do you anticipate are some actions that would demonstrate the education?
I mean, I know. So, I mean, we had set out a kind of like a 3-part plan, where the first part was educate, and that's going to be ongoing. I mean, that's going to be continuous for forever, pretty much. The second plan was to create the campaign to try to secure support and drum up donations. But the third part was getting involved in the community. So we plan to do community service when we're all back together. And hopefully that can highlight and accentuate, some of the things that we need to, live a life of service and be of service to others to make the world better as well. And obviously you can learn a ton from giving yourselves to others. And at this moment, that's exactly what the world needs. So service will be big for us when we get back.
Any final thoughts?
I mean, the only thing I would say is, part of our plan was, how can you make an impact? And a couple of things we put out is, you can obviously donate through the charity that we set up, or you can share the charity link with others just to promote it and spread the word. I mean, we set an ambitious goal, and we knew to achieve that, it would have to extend far beyond my team and Josh's team and the Alvernia community and the families of the players. So spreading that around, I think is important. But lastly, we said, if you could kind of follow our plan, so that might even include, other people setting up charities and ways to donate and ways to support and ways to get involved in the community. I think that would be really important as well. And on terms of the education, I would encourage tons of people to, read up, watch videos, learn as much as you can, because it's really important to understand this is not just a recent problem. It's been going on for a really long time, and things need to happen for this to change.
I think for me, excuse me, a little bit on the kind of stay tuned for some more enhancements as it relates to this particular project. Like I mentioned earlier, our girls and Casey's guys are going to put their heads together, and they already have some really neat creative ideas that they're going to polish and bring to our attention and take some next steps with this. So it kind of goes above and beyond. These are young people who are very creative, very bright, very passionate. And I think you're going to see this campaign in particular, go to a whole nother level with their involvement, as it should. Our jobs as coaches is really to be facilitators and be mentors for them as they learn to take the reins with some parts of this particular project. Because again, one of the founding core values of Alvernia is humility. It's not about Casey. It's not about me. It's not even about our players. It is about service to others and the movement itself, and being humble and supporting something that's bigger than us. And I'd like to also mention, we've got a group of incredibly great head coaching colleagues that, from a stay tuned standpoint, are also planning a number of big things on their own, things that have resonated with their teams and their programs. So this isn't simply just going to end with what Casey and his team and women's hockey are doing. You're going to see an awful lot from so many of the athletic programs at Alvernia and the university in general. So I would just be enthusiastic and excited to stay tuned for some of those things as well.
Great. And where can people go to donate?
Yeah, so we have the link in our Instagram bio, which our handle is Alvernia M Soccer. And we also have it pinned to our Twitter profile, and our Twitter handle is Alvernia Men's Soc, SOC. Maybe we should put that as the same to simplify, but yeah, so you can do that, and obviously anybody can reach out to Josh or I if you can't find those links. But we're really excited for the support that we've gotten already, and really looking forward to the stay tuned portion, or what's to come here.
Yeah, and for us, kind of similarly on our Instagram bio at Vern WHKY, and also on Twitter at also Vern WHKY, you can find the links to be able to donate and learn a whole lot more about Color of Change. The website is very, very comprehensive, and you can learn an awful lot and gain a lot of education about how they go about their particular philosophy in the comprehensive way that Casey mentioned earlier.